key 2024 highlights. This is as described by the Big Red Company. Delivered on financial guidance, revenue growth with strong operational results. More than doubled wireless postpaid phone net adds compared to 2023. Continue to take broadband market share with Fios and FWA, 5G home internet. Strong execution against capital allocation priorities, including strategic transactions, and then well-positioned with strong outlook for 2025. Okay, so I call this the Hans statement. That's typically what he leads with. And then what we'll do is we're going to kind of move down a little bit and look at the stuff that we care about. All right, let's start here. Total postpaid phone net adds of 568,000 in the fourth quarter 2024, up from 449,000 fourth quarter of 2023. So that represents a pretty sizable increase. Really nice for Verizon to be able to show that they can do some growing. I know some people, have been a little down on their growth or their inability to grow, whatever the case may be. But when they want to, they can. And I think that's what this boils down to, right? That's what the quarter proves. If Verizon wants to grow, that they can. And, one of the things I heard Sampath discuss today was the 80-20 split. He brought it up again, where it's 80%, the way they split it is, I think just margins and volume, right? They want that split. And that's how they've decided to move. That's what they feel they need to do in order to kind of address the three main things that their business is focusing on, which is, EBITDA growth, paying down debt, taking care of the investor with dividends, service revenues, that's the focus. And, that's good growth. So it's up from the Q4 last year. Broadband continues to be a strength. 408,000 net additions, continuing the quarterly pace of over 350,000. Fixed wireless access total was 373,000. I think the breakdown was, I'm trying to remember. I think 150 some thousand business, and then like 210,000 consumer. So that's kind of the breakdown there. 4.6 million fixed wireless access subs currently. They're probably going to get to the 8 to 9 million on time, 2028. Fios, they added 51,000. Total home broadband subscribers and business broadband subscribers, 12.3 million currently. They had a good year. They had a good year in home broadband. Service revenues, consumer revenues, increased 2.2%. Wireless service revenue up 3% year over year. ARPA, average revenue per account, is up, I think, 4%. The retail postpaid churn, phone churn, I should say, 0.89. Now, this is one of the things we're going to monitor. So, thus far, and I'm just speaking to the numbers we covered, we get to compare Verizon with AT&T on churn rate. So Verizon's coming at 0.89. We'll see where AT&T and T-Mobile land. We see 4% ARPA growth, or it was like greater than 4%. We'll see if the others report that and how they disclose it. We'll see what they do for the postpaid phone net adds, the fixed wireless access subscribers. We'll compare them. But yeah, those are all really good metrics. Consumer reported 426,000 wireless retail postpaid phone net additions, up 34%. Q4 2023, 5.5% year over year increase in postpaid phone gross adds. Let's see here. Consumer reported 82,000 wireless retail postpaid phones for the year. So they went net positive. And to be honest with you guys, I think this is why Verizon was so aggressive in Q4. If they didn't get positive in this for the year, I think the street would have made them pay. So I think that's why Verizon was really, really aggressive to get to this number, so they could be net positive for the year. Because if you remember, the first half of the year wasn't good. So it was basically Q3 and Q4 that got them positive. and mostly Q4, right? Like it was huge. So 367,000 wireless retail postpaid phone net adds during the quarter. Prepaid, that is now 2 consecutive quarters with positive ads, excluding the SafeLink disconnects. They've got prepaid figured out. Looks like it's stable. And actually moving forward, B, and this is my personal opinion, I think they're going to elevate prepaid next year. Well, this year. I think 65,000 is the basement. I think 100,000 is the ceiling. So, and if they do that a couple of times this year, I mean, that's going to be huge because that means everything they're doing is working. So we'll see. Fios, 47,000 net adds. Consumer fixed wireless was 216,000 net adds. Business still chugging along, doing great things. 142,000 postpaid phone net adds in business. Now, you're not going to see AT&T and T-Mobile give their business numbers. They never do because they don't do this. Verizon's the only company that grows like this in business. So this helps Verizon look good, and it helps them make their competitors look bad. So their competitors always grow in the consumer, and then Verizon always grows in the business. So that's why you kind of see that 1.09 for those of you keeping track on the business churn. 157,000 FWA subscribers for Verizon. Service revenue 2 to 2.8% as the guide for 25. EBITDA 2 to 3.5%. Earnings per share from 0 to 3%. That's one hell of a spread. Investor probably wants to see it at that 3%. Cash flow from operations 35 to 37 billion is the guide. CapEx expected to be 17.5 to 18.5 billion for the year. We kind of knew that. And then free cash flow expected to land between 17.5 and 18.5. Now Verizon, I think, went over 19 billion this year. So they're probably going to beat this. They're going to pull the pricing lever a couple of times in 25. So they're probably going to beat that, in my opinion. B, go ahead.
So Sneed, a wonderful job doing the rundown. That was great. I'd like to point attention to the unsecured debt.
Okay.
That Verizon reported that they were able to pay down.
Sure. Let's do that.
I think that's really, really significant. So there's been talk about Verizon being heavily in debt and so forth and so on. That's been true. But, it says here that they reported in the fourth quarter that the debt's down to 117.9 billion, which was an $8.5 billion decrease, compared to third quarter 2024, and 10.6 billion lower year over year. So to me, it seems like they've been wise as far as making sure that they're beginning or continuing to deleverage. That's a huge chunk.
Well,
in one quarter.
The proof B is in the debt to adjusted EBITDA. They went from 2.6x to 2.3x in 1 year.
Yeah. So I mean, with that being said, that seems to be like very, very competitive with what AT&T reported.